Stop helping her. This doesn't concern you.
The moment an old woman sat alone crying over a lien notice?
The police are already on their way. Hope this little stunt was worth it.
Good, because when they get here, they're gonna hear exactly what you've been doing to her.
Stop that mower right now, or I'll have the police here before you finish your first row. The woman across the street stood with her arms crossed, staring at me like I was committing a crime. I looked over at the small white house behind me. The lawn hadn't been cut in months. Grass swallowed the walkway, weeds climbed around the porch steps, and inside that house lived 82-year-old Margaret, alone. Her husband of 56 years had passed away the previous winter. Ever since then, she rarely came outside. The first time I met her, I noticed newspapers piled beside the front door and a mailbox stuffed so full it wouldn't close. When she finally answered my knock, she barely opened the door. The house was dark. The curtains were drawn shut. She seemed embarrassed. "I've been meaning to take care of the yard," she said softly. Then she handed me a letter. The city had warned her that the property was becoming a violation. If it wasn't cleaned up soon, she could face hundreds of dollars in fines. Eventually, a lien could even be placed against her home. Tears formed in her eyes. "I just don't have the strength anymore." Then she said something I'll never forget. "I didn't want to bother anyone." The next Saturday, I came back with my mower, trimmer, and leaf blower. Margaret sat quietly on her porch watching. For the first time, I saw her smile. But it didn't last long. About 20 minutes later, a neighbor appeared with a phone in her hand. She started recording me. "That's him," she said loudly. "The stranger I've been warning everyone about." I ignored her and kept mowing. A few minutes later, she shouted even louder. "He's trespassing. He doesn't belong here." Then she called the police. When the patrol car arrived, Margaret looked terrified. I could see her hands shaking. The neighbor immediately rushed toward the officers. "I told you this would happen," she said. "People can't just show up and start working on someone else's property." One officer walked over to Margaret. "Ma'am, did you ask him to be here?" For a moment she looked down at the ground. Then she slowly stood up, straightened her shoulders, and answered, "Yes, officer." She pointed toward the neighbor. "He's helping me." Then she pointed toward the yard. "She's been watching me struggle for 2 years." The silence that followed felt heavier than anything anyone had said all day. The officers left. The neighbors stopped recording. And I finished the yard before sunset. As I packed my equipment away, Margaret looked across her freshly cut lawn. For the first time in a long time, her home looked cared for again. The truth is, loneliness can hide behind any front door. If this story touched your heart, leave a ball in the comments, share it with someone you love, and remember, sometimes the smallest act of kindness becomes the biggest thing in someone's world.